There appears to be still some confusion on splurge days, and I wanted to clear them up in a very quick video right here. This video is how you might be misusing your splurge days. So let's look at a few things. A splurge day is always, as always with anything with OMAD, it's to enhance your life. It's not to be a crutch. It's not to serve as a way to create eating disorders, which it can if it's misused. How should splurge days be used? They should be used as a schedule or relationship enhancer. What do I mean by that? By that I mean if you're traveling, if you're moving around and you find that there is a good opportunity and it's been more than 2 weeks or 2 weeks or a week and you have not had a way, you've not jumped off your normal OMAD plan, it might be beneficial to you to have a splurge day, especially if you're out and about and you're counting calories would be against the grain of what you need to do. Maybe you have a meeting to get to. Maybe you have a dinner to attend. Go ahead and splurge that day. It's a calculated splurge day. Yes, as a nutrient deficiency preventer. If you've been fasting for a very long time at a good deficit, then of course you need to give your body a break. And if you haven't watched my other video that specifies and breaks down the topic of splurge days much better, go and do that. I'll have it linked up. But in case you are under or over in protein or B vitamins or some nutrient, the splurge day helps make that up. Yes, as a weight loss stall progress booster. So many people, when they get 2 or 3 weeks and they're not losing weight, they go on a splurge day. They find that the day after or the day after the day after, they start losing again. It's almost miraculous. But kicking your body into high gear with more digestion, more food to digest, can be a great thing. Yes, to have reserves for hard workouts when massing up or maintaining weight. Now, as you get closer to maintaining weight, you need to start experimenting with eating more, because if you've been doing OMAD faithfully, you've seen your stomach shrink. And if you keep letting it shrink, it's going to get more and more drastic to where a very small plate of food will fill you up. You don't want that, because it's going to be harder to get more calories. I experienced that. My stomach got so small it was difficult to eat much food. And so I had to stretch it back out. And I did that by adding in the occasional splurge day. Yes, it should be used as a floating day and always with discretion and under the umbrella of control. That is, just because it's a splurge day doesn't mean it's out of control. It just means you're not going to you've already tracked doing it, but you're not going to track it. So you're not going to count calories. You're not going to watch how much sugar or how much protein or anything else. You're going to do it, but it's going to be controlled. So let me tell you before we get to the no's, my first use of a splurge day. And again, when I started OMAD, I didn't have any of the stuff that I'm delivering to you guys flushed out. So it was instinctive. I was at a funeral, and we were all in tears because someone very close to me died of cancer. And it was a grueling ordeal. And we were together, and the local Mexican restaurant from the town cooked for us a very good large meal. And of course, this food is good. This is South Texas down here. Our Mexican food is really good. Well, I had been observing OMAD, of course, this marked about 2-3 weeks maybe. And it was over 2 weeks. And by the time we put this person to rest, we had the meal prepared for us. And I realized I didn't know the calories of any of this. And I didn't have a plate. It was a really small plate, smaller than the normal 10 by 1/8, whatever it is, 10 1/8 standard size plate. So I said, look, I'm going to let this go today. And complicating matters was they only had sweet tea. They didn't have Splenda, which is what I would have used in my tea to do a no-calorie beverage. So I said, you know what? I'm in control. I know I'm in control. I'm going to go ahead. This helps my schedule. This helps me get on where I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to limit myself to this little plate because the size isn't the same. The beverage is sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. So I went ahead and had 4 to 7, I think, glasses of this awesome sweet tea. And it's like in the South, so it's like really, really sweet. And then I had, I think, 2 plates of enchiladas, refried bean. Of course, that's over what I would allow for my calories. But I would guess with the chips and salsa, I ended up having about 3,000 calories that day, maybe 3,500 calories. Did I care? Of course not, because I had been I was in control, and I knew when I sat down that I was going to stay in control. I was just not going to worry about it that day. This weighs in on the question whether or not you should graze all day on your splurge day, or you should just eat until you're like a bear in a cave and you just want to go to sleep. Either way is okay. The idea is you're always in control. So, with that said, let's look at the no's. You're misusing a splurge day if it occupies your focus all week. This gets to using a splurge day as a crutch. You should never do that. You should never say, oh my God, I just can't wait to splurge. I keep thinking about that bag of Oreo cookies. I just can't wait. What that's going to do is you're going to develop an eating disorder, and you're going to have topsy-turvy blood sugar levels because you're going to splurge, and then you're going to start splurging more, and you're going to keep fighting the tendencies. That's going to prolong bad eating. So no if it occupies your focus all week. No if it is done last minute as a result of caving to get a fix. A lot of people say, well, I'm just going to make today splurge day because I'm really, really hungry. Well, if you do that, you're going to open a Pandora's box and you can't close it because you're going to have to keep doing that. No if you are prone to destructive eating disorders that involve binging. Big no there. A lot of people contact me and they say, I'm a binger, should I splurge? My answer is no. Just eat closer to your normal calorie level and go a little bit slower, because you don't want to slip back into eating disorders. Some people who binge occasionally, they're not the same as those who are actual bingers, who are destructive like I was. I was middle grade. I wasn't extremely destructive, but I was a moderate person with an eating disorder. I would binge frequently, but not so much like some people who actually hurt themselves, hurt their bodies, end up in the hospital. So it's a question of how in control you are. No if it cannot be done with complete confidence and without guilt. Now here's what kicks you. You know you're doing your splurge day right if, and this is crazy, if you're saying, when should I do that? I feel so good right now. I feel so good this week. I've had so much peace. If you can look in your life and say, OMAD has brought me peace, do I want to splurge? If you can question the value of it, that's actually a good thing, because you're doing it right. You should not long for the splurge day or think too much about it. That's number one. This is under how you might be doing splurge days right. Number two, you should plan it and not feel guilty when doing it. Why is that powerful? Because if you're in control, you're not guilty. You can't have it both ways. If you're in control, then you know it's serving a purpose. It's doing something beneficial to your life, just like we covered in the yes column. Number three, you should see it as adding some benefit to your body and or life. This is an extension of the last points we made. So all of those things give you an example of how to use your splurge day with discretion and with knowledge, and knowing that, as I've said so many times now in all these videos, that you are in control. That's what it's all about.